Right.
What's your second
I'm
name?
at a protest in Salford, where I was born, so the
Michael.
officer's asking my name. It's English, as in English.
Michael English.
Michael English. Michael English.
What's your date of birth, mate?
8th 11th, 1984.
8th 11th, 1984.
They're protesting for Israel and getting basically one-sided, you know. You can see it being one-sided there.
Just come over here a second. Just come over here. Hey, come here a second.
So let's make
Like I said to you,
yeah.
there's obviously the
Look.
police officers that were here
Yeah.
had some concerns for what was going to go on.
Okay.
I think they were more worried about your safety. So that's why we've took you over here to have a chat with you.
All right then. Okay.
The last thing we want.
I'm making a mark and then I'll go in the peaceful. Look. I'm Mr. English here. As a professional boxer here, and I'm the only man to walk out with the St George's flag with a surname English, born in Salford.
Right.
But my grandmother was Jewish on my mum's side. You know what I'm saying? So I have the right.
And like you said,
Yeah.
everyone has a right to protest. However, what you've got to think about is the safety of yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're walking into a crowd of opposition, someone who is protesting for a different cause than you put yourself at a certain risk, don't you?
Yeah, but as long as we have a right to be humble
You have
and
a
we have
to
that
do it,
right to
but
stand. Yeah.
Equally, we have a duty of care towards you, don't we?
I understand you.
I don't want you going into that crowd and getting beaten up. I don't want any offences to be committed towards you. I don't want any offences to be committed towards them. Do you see what I mean?
You know what? Shake your hand. You know what? I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. You know
So
what?
If you want to carry on protesting, that's your right.
I'll stay for a few minutes and I'll get going.
Brilliant.
I understand what
Thank
you're
you
saying.
for your time.
I will.
Will you just do me a favour?
Yeah.
Will you just stay this side?
I will.
Thank you very
I will.
much for your time.
All right.
Did you have a message you want to bring today?
Yeah, you know what it is I'm standing for Israel, yeah? Now, born Salford, so this is my home turf basically, but the family on my mum's side is Jewish. My grandmother was a Romanian Jew, so she was more darker, complex olive skin, so she was Sephardi. My DNA goes right to Israel from my mother's ancestry, so I've got Iraq, I've got Yemen, I've got Israel. You know, I'm even connected to the non-Jewish people out in Israel, which are the Bedouin tribe and the Druids, which the Druids, they claim to be descendant from Moses' father-in-law. And when they went to war against the Ottoman Empire, which also was a Muslim empire, but was European as well because Turkey's in Europe as well, they fought against the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire called them Jewic, meaning ultimate thug. That was 500 years ago because they didn't want to obey to the Ottoman Sultan's rule, you know what I'm saying? So my message amongst all this, to be a rebel, to say, you know what, this is society here. A man can't come out and support Israel without getting the police in his face. My message is, this is England, this is Morocco, and we'll support Israel all the way. Israel has every right to stand. It's not like it was just the Jews that just went over the land and just took over. The Jews was always in the land. Who controlled the land before there was a Jewish state there? It was the British Empire. Who controlled the British Empire before the British Empire? The Ottoman Empire. You know, the Ottoman Empire was at war with itself, with the other Arabs, because you have the Sunnis and you have the Shiites, all divided against each other. But in the end, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who was supported by the British, he went against the British and he went with Hitler and sided with Hitler, where Hitler said, you know, we will agree with you. And it was him where a lot of the anti-Semitic talks came from, when the Muslims were saying it was good that Hitler was about, that he killed the Jews. So this is well documented. But in 1948, it was known that there could be two states, Palestine and Israel. The Muslims said no, the Arab world said no, the Jews said yeah, and they had to fight for that land. It wasn't like they had to, it was given them. America didn't help them, or Britain, because it was actually the IRA that actually taught the Zionists how to make explosions, and they actually blew up the British to get them out, because when Winston Churchill left office, his next predecessor was against the Israel, so the Zionists had no choice but to say, you know what, we're going to have a Jewish homeland or not. So they had to get rid of the British, and the IRA, which were a lot of them were British soldiers now who lived in Palestine, actually supported the Jews. They understood the right for a homeland, so they stood for them, and in the end the Americans left, so the Jews are left helpless, defenseless against all of the Muslim empire. You've got Egypt, Syria.
Yeah, just to say, I mean, I don't know a lot about this. You obviously know a little bit.
Oh
more
yeah,
than
yeah.
me. And because I'm learning about this slowly, obviously I take your information to be what it is. I just want to ask you, is there any way forward for Palestine and Israel to go forward?
Yeah. If you ever watched the documentary, The Son of Hamas, he is the son of one of the founders of Hamas. And he said that he worked for an Israel agent for 5 years. And he begged the news team the other night. He said, look, I've done everything for you, but I need to see my mother. She's never even left the area of Gaza. She's never even drove. But she's my mum. She's sent there. I don't agree with what Hamas do. They say that we're defending the people. They said, no, they're not. They're killing the people. And it's not just them.
So who are Hamas killing?
Their own people.
But by creating kind of illusion.
Who started the war not long ago? Did Israel send rockets in? No. Israel are a developing country, right? They're developing, right? But you see what it is the Hamas don't want this. They want war. Now it comes down to, but if you believe in the Bible, right? Israel has to exist, because if you believe in the Bible about World War III, end of days, don't mean literally the end of the days. Israel has to exist no matter what. A lot of the Christians believe that by building the temple, they're giving the Jewish people the right of their independence, but at the same time, they want Jesus to come back, because the only way Jesus to come back is when the temple is built, and that's on their tradition, also Muslim tradition. So no matter what, we have to support Israel if it's biblically, because prophecy's got to come through, right? Also, if it's moral, where you're saying, well, you know what, Israel's actually, they support gay rights, they support freedom, they do women's rights, where a lot of the people in Muslim countries actually have gone to Israel and lived there. That's if have IDF soldiers who are Muslim. You know, you've got to go forward. Saudi Arabia and other Muslim countries sided with Israel. They're at war now with Iran. Saudi Arabia came to Israel saying, we need your help.
Just to try and help me understand a little bit quicker, some people inside are saying that the innocent children are being bombed, obviously in Palestine, Gaza.
In every war, people are going to be victims, and I don't wish bloodshed on anybody. But on this note, Israel's been around a long time now. Who started this with the firing rockets? Hamas. Where did the funding come from? Iran. Iran says they want a nuclear weapon. What's that for? Peace reasons. No, they want to destroy the Jewish people, because the Jewish people, this is our land. We've only got one land, and at the end of the day, we have a right to defend the state of Israel. You know, people. If you go to a museum, museums are full of history of people dying. You know, that's mankind for you. But at the end of the day, we have a right to defend. We have a right to defend. It's good to see that you have your opinion. And may God be with you, brother. May God be with you, brother. Yeah, don't mind, yeah.
What's your stance? You're definitely with Israel?